Hi, this is Grandpa. Welcome to my channel. I'm new at this, so please like, share, and subscribe because it will really help me a lot because I'm new at this. Anyway, the channel is all about products that I've used that are great for senior citizens and also living in the Philippines where I've lived for 25 years and now retired. I hope you like this channel and the content. And now on with the show.
Well, welcome back, subscribers and friends that I've met on the YouTube channel. Based on my recent posts, there's top 3 questions about retiring in the Philippines that I'm going to cover partly. The number one question is girlfriend and wives, marriage, and that kind of stuff. So that's the topic of this video. But number 2 is where's the best place to retire? That'll be a subject of a subsequent video, and it depends on your budget, whether it's limited, modest, or high. And I'll talk in great detail on that in a subsequent video. Please comment if you like that one. And the third one was quite interesting, is why did I retire in the Philippines? And if you're interested in why I did it, I'd be happy to share that with you, and that's the basis of these videos. Is I've got a lot of experience here, 25 years plus living here. So this video is about girlfriends, wives, marriage, and of course the allowance factor. The video assumes that you are single and looking for a relationship. The video also assumes that you have good moral character and are not just looking for party girls. So if this describes you, please continue watching. As you can see by these YouTube videos, everybody is wanting to find out about what it's like to be with a Philippine girlfriend, fears and everything else. It's all looking for a Philippine girlfriend that you may find the easy way, which is going to a bar. Highly recommend staying away from bars if you're looking for a serious relationship. I put together some 3 pages of notes, so I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. If I miss something, please comment. I'll try to cover it in a subsequent video. Anyway, all relationships start as a boyfriend, girlfriend, and develop from there. Now, I know I'm not politically correct, but I haven't lived in the States for a long time, so to me it's all boyfriend and girlfriend, man and woman, that kind of stuff. So the first question you may have is, how do I find a girlfriend? Okay? That's a big question, and most people, men that travel to the Philippines, take the easy road. They go to this big city, they go to a foreigner's type city like Makati, Angeles City, Cebu area, and I don't know all the places because I don't go there, but there's lots of places where you can find what I call bar girls, and they're always hanging around the restaurants and bars that are frequented by foreigners. Avoid that. You know, I'm assuming that most of you guys are post 50 and maybe even older, and you're fed up with the United States and where it's headed, and you have a limited budget and inflation is rampant and you just can't make it on Social Security, and you don't really want to work until you're 80 years old as a security guard at McDonald's or some other place. Again, so how do you find a girlfriend here in the Philippines? Well, if you're in another country, you may consider some dating sites. Now, while this is a way to have some contacts before you visit, I really don't recommend this approach, and the main reason for this is that you plan your trip with a bit of excitement. You meet the girl of your dreams, so you think, and she, of course, is excited to meet the man of her dreams. Okay, so everything is planned. You're chatting on the dating site. Maybe you shared some pictures and everything else, and you think, well, this is really a nice girl. And especially if you're a retired man and perhaps you've gone through a divorce or bad relationships, and so these Philippine girls make you feel good again, you know, and they're quite pretty. Um, at least it looks like that on the on the dating site. Um, So once you make all your arrangements and all that stuff, you plan your trip, and when you arrive, of course she pulls out all the stops. Everything seems wonderful, but you will find out that there are some surprises, and there's always surprises, many surprises, some big, some small, but nevertheless surprises. And this is always the case. I don't know anybody that hasn't met somebody on any dating site, whether it be in the Philippines or any place else, that there weren't surprises. Maybe things you just don't like, okay? So you've planned this trip, you fly to the Philippines, and you find out these surprises are just too much. But everybody's been looking forward to getting together. So how do you escape? How do you say, wait, I already came here to the Philippines. There's things that I can't deal with, and I just don't want to be with this girl that sounded so wonderful on the internet. But when I get here, there's really surprises. I mean, some surprises would be that she's been previously married and there's no divorce. I mean, she's still married. She may have 1 or 2 or 3 kids, because I'm assuming you're going to be looking for a partner if you're in your 60s. You know, my recommendation here is not more than 25 years separation between your age and the girl. So she's going to be in her mid-30s. Probability is she's either been married or been in other relationships and perhaps even has kids. It's not a big deal. I know plenty of guys that have come over here and got with a girl that's had kids and everything's worked out fine. But you may end up having one of your own. You never know. And sometimes that causes a little difficulty between hers and yours, as it would in any marriage or relationship where you're joining with somebody else. So how do you escape? Well, this is going to be very difficult, and it's even more so if you travel to one of the other islands. So say you fly into Manila, and she's from Leyte, and so you get on another small plane and you fly to Leyte, and you meet the family and you want to escape. Okay, you want to get out of there. So fly back to Manila, fly to Cebu. Where are you going to fly to? Anyway, let me talk about the best place to live in another video, because that's an important factor on when you meet a girl online. So point number 2, I recommend just coming to the Philippines. No attachments. And if you watch my other video on where to live, coming soon, you can visit these places and even have an idea on your perfect place. Okay, so plan your trip, do some study and research, watch my videos on the perfect place to live that describes your lifestyle, and then visit, come and see it, okay? And then you have an idea on your perfect place. You may like the beach, you may like the mountains, you may like inland, you may like big cities, you may like small cities. You may want to be in a place where there's lots of foreigners, or you may want to be in a place like I am that has enough foreigners to keep you motivated and people to talk to from your same country, but you're not bombarded with 50 foreigners sitting in a pub, all with different stories and different things. Okay, so you have to find your perfect place. Do that first. Okay, once you have narrowed down or selected a perfect place or places, you may do the internet thing once you're in country. Okay, so you're in the country, you're in your perfect place. If you want to do the internet dating thing, at least you're going to find a girl that's from your perfect place or close enough to your perfect place. Okay, but again, be careful. Okay, once you meet a girl in this country, okay, they're clingy and they like to keep their guy, and they do whatever they can to keep the guy, okay, especially if you're in country. And anyway, find your perfect place, then find the girl, okay. As I said, be careful if the girl you date is in your perfect place. Again, how do you escape? Okay, so always think, how can I escape? Because after you've been here a while, you may find that the girl you first met when you got here isn't really your cup of tea for a number of reasons, but then it's hard to escape. They're clingy, they're possessive, they want to keep you, and if that girl that you were dating is in your perfect place, she can make your life a little bit, I guess, miserable. Not terribly miserable, but if you're in the city, you're going to run into that girl all the time. But if you're in the province, maybe it's not as bad. That's why I choose to live in the province. So again, you found your perfect place. Maybe you found a girlfriend. For me, leave it at that. Go to your perfect place, rent a small flat. It doesn't cost that much, especially in the province, and get acclimated with the Philippines. Understand where you're living, what the culture's like, and things like that. So point number 3, you've been in the Philippines. Project forward. You've been in the Philippines for 3 months. Okay, you've got a feel for where the markets are, what the culture's like, what the people are like in that perfect place. You may like the perfect place that you thought about before you came here, or you may find out the perfect place isn't as perfect as you thought it is. Now, one thing I can tell you about the Philippines, generally speaking, all big cities have the same stuff, okay? Manila's, Makati, Angela City, Cebu, Bacolod, Tacloban, General Santos, Leyte, you name it. All the big cities all have very similar or almost the same environment, meaning that if you arrive in Manila and somebody blindfolds you and flies you to Cebu, you'll see subtle differences, but fundamentally you got the same stuff. You got the same big restaurants, you got the same bars, you got the same everything. Same for medium-sized cities and same for small-sized cities. So when we talk about the best place to live in a subsequent video, that'll help you to decide which kind of city you want to live in, and that depends a lot on your lifestyle. We'll talk about that in great detail in a subsequent video. So anyway, as I said, point 3 is you've been in the Philippines for at least 3 months. Living in the perfect place. You know the layout and you are beginning to understand Philippine culture. You may or may not have a girlfriend already that you may have met in church or the local market. Very nice girls, wholesome girls that you're going to meet in church and the local market. Or maybe even if you like to jog or ride a bike or something, you're going to meet girls here. There's a lot of girls in the country, especially that are not married. They're available for a person with the right kind of relationship. But, and this is very strongly suggested, you do not live together. Pardon me. Do not live together with the girl. It's going to be tempting. You've got physical needs and things like that. I'm telling you, do not live together. Families here are kind of big, okay? So once you are living together, you are committed, okay? And I cannot stress that enough. You are committed to that girl, and by extension, you're committed to her father, her mother, her grandmother, her grandfather, brothers and sisters. So once that happens, you're stuck, okay? That is your girlfriend. And the intent and the idea of the girlfriend is that you, at some point in the future, will get married, okay? That's going to be the expectation from you. If you are not living together, you're showing good moral character to her and her family. You're not going to end up with an unwanted pregnancy that you're not ready for, okay? So do not live with her, okay? This gives you a window of opportunity to meet her family, her friends, and you may even find out a bit more about her and the area you live in that will affect your decision on your perfect place and the perfect girlfriend and everything like that. But you will have not made a commitment to the girl of your dreams that you think, okay? It's very tempting. Don't do it. Highly recommend. Do not do it, because you will not be able to escape that area. I know some people that came over here, they didn't listen to this advice. They lived with the girl. The girl ended up getting pregnant. The foreigner ended up going to a totally different city, and they hunted him down and found him. Needless to say, the brothers weren't very happy. You cannot hide in the Philippines. When you fly here, you're on a visa, and if you're on an extended period of time, you need an alien certificate of registration. They know exactly where you are and how to find you, okay? If the girl, God forbid, gets pregnant, you might as well just get on a plane and go home, if that's the kind of person you are. So avoid these problems. Don't live with her. Don't have sex with her. Have good moral character. Date her for at least 3 months before you even consider any type of commitment. Okay, even though you could tell her up front, oh, I'm not going to get married, I don't want to get married, I've been divorced, I've had 2 wives already, I just want to come over here and meet somebody that I can retire with, etc. You may have even said that, but it won't happen that way. The girls want to get married. You don't want to be with a girl that's never been married. You don't want to get married. At some point, she's going to say, if you love me, you'll marry me. It happens, and it will happen. And it's going to be hard-pressed for you to say no, and especially if she has a child. Because in the Philippines, it's important that the child has a mother and a father on their birth certificate. There's complications that happen for the children if they don't have a mother and a father on their birth certificate. So the strong recommendation, date her for 6 months. You will find out everything about the girl. You'll have had good times, bad times. You'll have gone through the time of the month with the girl. By the time you've been with the girl for 6 months, all the guards are let down. Okay, they won't have their guards up. They won't be putting on the perfect face. You may have even had an argument or two. Or you may find out that when you go out and you're walking down the street, you happen to glance at another girl walking by, and the next thing you know, she's very jealous, and you didn't know that before. And then she's saying, she could be jumping in your face saying, why are you looking at that girl? So anyway, 6 months dating, no living together, and control the sex. I don't agree with sex out of marriage, but if that's your case, protect yourself that you're not going to end up having a baby and then getting stuck into a relationship just because of a pregnancy. You guys are all old enough to know now to cover the old guy and make sure you don't cause a problem for you or the girl, because if you run away and leave her with a baby, you're ruining her life and the baby's life. So control yourself. Date for 6 months. You'll find out everything. Okay? Date for 6 months. If you dated one girl for 2 months and then you said that's not my cup of tea and you start dating a new girl, the 6 months starts over again. Okay? Starts over. You want to spend 6 months. Be very careful about marriage because there is no divorce. So if you short track this relationship that you're going through with the girl and you end up getting married early, like after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and you may do it because she's pregnant or for a number of reasons, it's the girl of my dreams, you think you know everything and you know her perfectly and there's nothing that is going to surprise you about her and you don't care because you love her so much you'll put up with anything, there is no divorce, okay? And because there's no, well, practically speaking, there's no divorce. You can get a divorce here with enough money and enough time. A separation will take, goodness, a friend of mine, 2 friends have already tried to go through this, and it cost him 2.5 million pesos, 7 or 8 court appearances, and 3.5 years later just to get a separation, okay? Another friend of mine married a girl here, ended up having 3 kids, and found out when he was working overseas, because was an overseas contractor until I retired, but he ended up spending 6 million pesos to get a divorce, to get custody of the 3 kids, and he had rock solid proof that she was being with other guys while he was working international. Built a beautiful home in Quezon City, 3 wonderful kids, sending her money every month, only to find out when he came home she'd been having an affair with her first boyfriend, okay? It still took him years and money to get a divorce, get his property back. Not everybody has 6 million pesos. That's $100,000 more than in today's money. So if you get married, you're going to be married here, okay? So take your time saying I do. Take 6 months, take a year, okay? But take your time. Make it sure. And if during that dating period you know there's problems, don't get married. Do not get married. You can still live together. You can do everything else. Do not live together. Because anything that you buy now, especially if you buy land, it's all in her name. Everything you own here is in her name. Okay? Even if you get married, you can't sell the property out from underneath her. Even if you paid for everything. Paid for the land, paid for the house, paid for this, paid for that. You can't touch it. She can just sit there and say, I'm not selling. So you're stuck. Okay? The end result is dating should be controlled. It should be limited. And look at it like you're trying to find perhaps a bit of a life partner, but understand that. Okay? So the last point, once you have a solid relationship, you will need to consider the money factor. Okay? That's always the big item that comes up. Whether it's a long-time girlfriend or a wife, the money factor always comes in. In particular, be aware of the allowance factor. All the Filipinos know that there should be some kind of allowance for them. Okay? I talk about this in greater detail in subsequent videos. If you're interested in that, leave a comment and I'll jump on it. So you will know, because you've dated her for 6 months, that she's going to need allowance, but what about her family? Maybe she's got a brother or sister that's sickly, or elderly parents that need some kind of support. And maybe the girl of your dreams has a job working somewhere that is occupying 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and perhaps she's making 10, 11, 12,000 pesos a month, of which half of that, or more than half, she uses to support her family. But because you're in a relationship, you don't want her to spend all the time away from you. You're retired. You're 60 or however old you are. She may be in her 30s or 40s. She has to continue to support her family. Okay, that's the Philippine way. So you need to consider that and make sure your allowance allows for that before you tell her to leave her job. Anyway, I talk about all that stuff in a subsequent video. You're also going to want to figure out, do you rent an apartment? Do you buy a house that's already built, a house and lot? Do you buy a lot and build your own house? All of these things are, once you're in a relationship here, come into play. The Filipinos like to have their own land. And because you're a foreigner, they expect that you're going to have your own land, whether it's 200 or 300 square meters and a modest house on it. The Filipino women don't want to live in a rental unit. Full stop. Okay? It's okay to do that for a while, but if you don't own a house, and you're married especially, there is no commitment in her mind. That is the real commitment, because if she's 30 or 40 and you're 50 or 60, you're not going to be around forever. She's still got another 20 or 30 or 40 years to go. What's going to happen to me if he dies? And they think about that stuff. They don't talk about it much, but they think about it. So they like to have something that they own. Okay, please consider that. The final thing, once you have that, is what kind of car do you, what kind of transportation do you need? Now, for me, I came down here and my primary mode of transportation is a tricycle. Because where I live in the country, there's no place I need to go that I need a fancy car. But a tricycle gets me everywhere I need to go. Yeah, it doesn't have aircon and it's all that, but it's pretty easy to get to the market. You got a sidecar your wife can ride in, or she can ride behind you. There's plenty of room in it to put your groceries. If you're living in a big city, of course that's not going to be practical. You're going to need some kind of car. But again, I don't recommend retirees to go to big cities. Okay, you can always travel to a big city, but live in the country. And I talk about that in another video on where to find your perfect place to live. Anyway, transportation always comes up because cars are expensive. They're seriously expensive. So anyway, that wraps it up. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you will find out when I post those other videos. And your comments and requests are always welcome. If there's other topics you'd like me to discuss, please comment and let me know. Okay guys, well, I hope you're happy and you can find the girl of your dreams. This is Grandpa signing off.